All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Wednesday afternoon here live in the Cyber Group Trading Room and streaming across social media. Welcome on back, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. And it's unanimous. Great to see everybody loud and clear from all. Bonnie, Pat, David, Jose, Kathy, John, Ron, Dom. Got everybody so far, at least live inside our trading room. James and Sharon joining us. Grant, a pleasure as always. And like I said, welcome on back for all of us streaming across social media here, Facebook Live and YouTube. We tend to do these meetings every afternoon, 2:30 Eastern time here. So let's hop into it, guys. We ended up seeing a bit of a flat market leading into the open. With that, though, we ended up seeing a bit of a pullback on the Dow. Dow pretty much net drop from 26 down to 25.7. So it's been very flat, stagnant since. We'll check out the side list stocks, but I'll tell you, even as the market was dropping off this morning, it took a little bit for a stock like NCLH to get the gears going on the way down. It made the pop right out of the gate, but shortly after, it took a little bit, but eventually ended up re-breaking underneath support 1741, and it had essentially moved with the market. But we'll come back to these side list stocks in a moment, guys. I'll tell you otherwise, with the market moving pretty flat, and I'll tell you with the market closed coming up this Friday, I don't know about you guys, I'm ready for the weekend. It's been fairly slow within the market. With that said, there's been a couple of things keeping us awake here inside this trading room. And one of them I was going to get to here, WKHS. Workhorse, another big push at least shortly after the market opened up for all-time highs. Once again, yesterday, we ended up seeing it make a nasty shake back down to from 20. And at least upon the market opening up today, we saw continuation of that drop-off, dropping from essentially 17 all the way down to low of the day, but eventually bounced and recovered and ended up re-breaking above resistance. First, we had off of 15. It took a few attempts for this to really begin its push over 15. Pretty much right before 11 o'clock Eastern time, you could see it ended up accelerating over the 15 level again, ended up running up very nicely at that point up towards the high of the day, and then, of course, re-broke higher. So, this Workhorse trade, it will be easy for us to just put on our list going into the close. Not to say this is necessarily an easy trade minute by minute. If you're following the stronger volume-based support resistance, then at least you have a better idea as far as where to enter. Typically, at this point in the day, we'd be more suspicious of false breakouts, seeing a stock test resistance the first time and then just failing afterwards. So for reference here really quick, this 1850, really strong top. Well, this was the first break. I think it tested it maybe here. Yeah, some volume probably got filled off the offer. But once it popped, well, you need to have it hold over 1850. If this breaks under 1850 rather quick, it's likely just a false breakout. So you got to get out if that's the case, guys. We ended up just commenting on that inside our trading room right before this meeting started. So hopefully coming up later on this afternoon, we'll see this make a second crack over the 1850. You can see at least on the chart is holding pretty strong across the afternoon. Let me get there we go. Get that exact. All right, so WKHS, one of a few stocks still kind of keeping me awake here this afternoon. There's been a couple of others, like I'd said. The ATHE trade, this was more at least from the morning, but again, going into the early afternoon, we ended up seeing this make a second little run up. So more so from the market open, it took a bit to get the gears going on this trade, but after holding support off the 150 level, stock ended up just blasting right out over resistance. Now, here's the thing, though. With a trade like this, the ATHE, you could see on the daily chart, we followed this yesterday, and this was a big dud yesterday, right? And I told you guys, for a stock like ATHE or maybe some of the others from yesterday, like BYFC, BHTG, etc., they'll come back up, guys. We're not going to guarantee for them to make the move the next day. In the case of ATHE, this was a pump and dump yesterday. It gapped up even higher in pre-market, but it was already pulling back leading into the market open. So I'm figuring if this can make a stronger push out the gate, we're going to see it. We're going to have a very good chance to see this type of move. It's easy for me to say that with the picture already painted, but if you're inside our live trading room, we ended up calling this stock out shortly after the open off the major resistance that we had at 180. It was a pre-market level on the chart, so that does seem pretty easy to recognize just looking at the pre-market charting. Of course, after the open, it spiked up to that 180, but once it retested that level and broke through, fortunately, didn't really fall under 180. It ended up just blasting right through it and on the way up towards the high of the day, 235. This ended up making a second run. Jose and I called this out, one of our students inside our trading room, right off the 180. It was a really great trade for a breakout from 180, second serving on this, but unfortunately, this is where it ended up making the false breakout over the next resistance at 2. And you could even see, I mean, 2 is a little shaky. If anything, the level from the chart, 203 here, was holding pretty damn well. Eventually slammed right back down. And at this point, I'm not going to put this ATHE trade on our list. At least this was one, if not from the market open, then of course, as you could see, going into the early to mid-afternoon, we picked up about 15, 20 cents on this trade. You know, nothing really too much to write home about, but it was a nice setup. All right, so we had the ATHE trade. We had the WKHS trade, and we'll start right from number 1 on the gainers list at this point, MIOS. MYOS. We ended up seeing this very similar to ATHE, make a pop early in pre-market, dump back down much before the market had opened up. I was a little bit more suspicious of this being a true pump and dump trade, to have this really break down once the market opened up below 2 and then just slam lower. Of course, it ended up holding 2, eventually broke out over resistance that we had at 250. Ended up moving up very nicely from there. So, you know, hey, I mean, MYOS, rightfully so. We had this on our pre-market watch list. We had this on our morning watch list leading into the open. Doesn't always mean we're going to bank on the stock breaking out right out of the gate. Here, well, it ended up holding support, thankfully, and that's what allowed us to get this push over the 250 on MIOS. Going into the afternoon, if my charts can move any slower here. There we go. You could at least see heading into the early to mid-afternoon, we were focused on this to break high of the day, break out over 350 once more. Let me get my book map open. And you know what? I didn't even have the MIOS trade on here because I thought it was going to be a pump and dump. And then I ended up jumping in off the 250 at least. But I didn't really have my level 4, my book map up at the time. I was just really following level 3, the trade station matrix. I just want to see what was ahead on this MIOS trade. You could see the higher high, it broke new high of the day, but obviously tanked right afterwards. So I'm just trying to figure out what happened on that trade. That's all. Looking on book map here, it looks like we have some resistance at 375. So probably right after this ended up making the push up to the high of the day, 385. I currently see an 84,000 share order on the ask. It's at 375, so had to have been right off of this. Once it pulled back under 375, we ended up seeing a large sell order on the ask. And as soon as that happens, you got to expect the stock to begin to pull back more, guys. Again, easy for me to say, but with 350 and 360 acting as the major resistance, it moved up a little bit from there, but given the pop, you're expecting a much more explosive run. So, you know, to see this make a lower high and then eventually snap back under that 360 level, usually leads to a lower low. So at this point now, the MIOS trade, maybe I'll come back to this at the very end, but I'm not going to put this just yet on our list. All right, so with that in mind, Grant says traded it in class also, and that's right. I knew that we had class coming up this afternoon, guys, but I should have started off by mentioning that typically with class on the horizon, we like to go through the percent gainers and losers list right away. And we'll do just that from this point. So we went over the MIOS trade already. Number 2, LMNL. Try saying that 3 times fast. LMNL. Either way, just super flat, doing nothing right now. We're going to pass. And you know what? Just since we're going to rip through this gainers and losers list, we'll just get the price out here showing. So we'll just skim through a few of these here quickly. The MMLP trade ended up making a nice pop, kind of low volume breakout shortly after the market opened up. I mean, I could say low volume given what we typically trade in this trading room here, but you know, the stock right now is trading 3.27 million shares. It trades about 400,000 shares on average, so that's well exceeding its average in volume today. Either way, I do like the fact that this is at the highs right now. So for right now, I'll put this on our main list. The MMLP. All right. Keep it quick. YRCW. Now, this one will take some time to cover here quickly. So, you know, obviously YRCW was up big in pre-market. It was dumping off into the open. You know, going into the market open, I ended up calling out resistance or support rather, that we had $3, but also specifically $3.10. So it took a little bit to get the support building on this trade. But once this YRCW trade, once this YRCW trade eventually rebroke over support, rebroke over 3, from that point, it ended up making a fairly steady run. That's 290. That's 3. There we go. So it rebroke above 3, ended up making a very sharp move up from that price up towards essentially 345. Just couldn't break higher from that point at the time. Ended up eventually breaking higher going into the early afternoon, but for right now, it's just back down. It's moving in a tighter range. I wouldn't be surprised if this breaks lower going into the close. So for right now, the YRCW, will scratch this from our list. Definitely keep this in mind, though. Tomorrow, which is the last trading day of the week here, guys, one more reminder, markets are closed this Friday to observe 4th of July. But hey, don't write this off fully. I mean, maybe tomorrow we come back to this. We'll see more activity in the pre-market. Sunworks ended up making a nice big move up this morning from essentially 70 to $1.28. Wow, thing ended up making a really big move. And given the range, it's not really that surprising to see this make a 5 or 6 or 7 cent squeeze up from the last support off of like 85 cents to 95 here. That really isn't that surprising given just the range that we had across the late morning, early afternoon. I wouldn't expect this to make a second big move up, so I'm not going to put this on our main list for right now, but seems like it was a nice trade. Sun W. So the warrants on DraftKings up big this morning, and one of our students posted the news on that. I mean, either way, I mean, this thing is just not doing it. Well, check out DraftKings regular, DKNG, obviously a lot more active and a very tradable stock. Not up or down a whole lot, so I'm not going to put this on the main list, but hey, we love DraftKings here. It's a great stock to day trade, and with the fact that this stock is shortable now, we've been taking advantage on the way down over the last 2 weeks here. There we go, Rich. I appreciate you posting the link there for class inside our trading room. So for all of our students here, guys, all of our gold, platinum, diamond, CTU students, make sure that you guys click that link to join. You'll have the chance to watch Fausto trade live going into the market close. AXGN, I like the range just from the 1050 level up to 1272, and even recently here from 11 to basically 12. Spread isn't too big. Order book seems somewhat filled in. So for right now, yeah, this AXGN trade, at least for right now, will make the cut. I'm just interested. We'll take a look at the news. It's not going to make me base a decision to buy or sell at a specific price or time, right? But it's interesting to know. So AXGN, what is this? Looks like announces new up to $75 million 7-year financing agreement with Oberlin Capital. All right, well, that's the news on this AXGN trade, at least here. I'm going to post that in the live stream, Facebook, YouTube. You guys will get that in a second here. Just post it inside our live trading room. All right, there we go. So, yeah, I mean, for right now, it seems like the stock is trading 50-cent increments fairly well. The 1150 level held fairly well, popped above it just recently, and now up to 12. TAC2, T2, TTOO here ended up making a strong run going into yesterday, popped more in the pre-market, but obviously this is what we fear, the dump back down. It was up big leading into the market open. Typically when a stock that's up 50, 60, 100% into the open opens, well, it's going to pull back. And if it pops right out of the gate, trust me, guys, trust me, it's going to pull back. So, we ended up seeing that, of course, this morning. And it wasn't just to be said, on the TTOO trade. It was on a bunch of these here. If I'm not mistaken, also, let me see. There was one from yesterday that I could kind of compare this to. I'll have to come back to it. All right. Let's see what else we have on the gainer side, guys. We'll hop over to the losers list here in a second. Tupperware, TUP, running up beautifully. Wow. So very easy for me to just throw this on our watch list. Tupperware, this is a stock that we trade not too frequently, but we've seen this over the last month and a half, 2 months. Tight spread, liquid order book, as you could see on the TradeStation matrix. Cheap stock, great direction on the way up. So I don't know if there's news. I'm not going to look into the news at this point, guys. Tupperware is not to say a daily trader, but one that we have called out in the past. I don't think this is news related, just given no pre-market activity. SFED, nice run up, tradable stock, at least from earlier today. I got the ping on Benzinga Pro from this one earlier. A little late to the party on this, at least off 2. Back down it went. AMRH, we called this out also. Unfortunately, a very short-lived run, no pun intended there. Pump and dump. Carve, the king of the pump and dump here. This Carve trade is the king of the pump and dump move. Over the last few weeks, we've seen Carve. We've seen also this stock U1. Urban One, we've seen these stocks break all-time highs over the last week, but dump right back down. They are in the same business. They trade similarly together. So at least this morning and from yesterday, Carve had a lot more activity and ended up seeing it dump back down. Ended up making a nice little move after the open here today, but unfortunately, same thing happened. Dumped right back down. Typically, guys, history has a tendency to repeat itself with a lot of these equities. Get a pretty good feel. Wayfair, all-time highs. I'm going to put this on our list, guys. Obviously, a very expensive stock. I normally would not. But with this up as much as it is, and of course, all-time highs, perhaps this could be something for Fausto to even watch in the phase 3 stock course. So I really don't mind doing that. FedEx here, my guess, is also all-time highs. I could be ignorant to that and say, yep, not all-time highs. All right. So FedEx had, I guess, just a really nice pop, likely off earnings this morning. Ended up dumping back down here a bit. Still tradable, but very expensive. Between the two, I'd much rather focus on W, just given the all-time highs at this moment. My plug trade, PLUG. This thing's been a monster over the last week. And not only that, it's been a great stock to short too on the way down. Plug, not to say we shorted this today, but leading into the open, it dumped off, but eventually found support off the 850, ended up moving up very nicely. And at least since is still near the highs. This plug trade, I'm going to put on our list. I would say the same thing, like I said before, with Sun W, perhaps. I wouldn't necessarily expect a stock like this to make a second clean run going into the close, especially with this up as much as it's been over the last, week, 2 weeks or so. Stock back on, Tuesday of last week, a week ago or so, was at, $6. Today, it's at 9.10. So we've seen stocks make much bigger runs in shorter time frames, but you got to figure at some point for this to kind of exhaust out. If the markets squeeze up going into the close, perhaps this will push up with it. This plug trade, at least for right now, keep a good eye if this can make a lower high and begin to pull back down here. I think that if the markets continue to slump off here, that could be a decent opportunity. All right, current time 2:47. That's Square here on the list. Interesting. Wow, look at Square go. Holy smokes. Are you kidding me with this recovery? Sometimes I'll say this, guys. You check in on a stock from a long while ago. It might move up too much in price, might move outside your price range. All right, no problem. You move away from it. But of course, we came back to Square as the markets were falling off going back into mid-March. But I haven't checked in on it since. Holy smokes, Square ended up making a huge recovery and all-time highs once again, I think. I think this is all-time highs. Yeah. All right, well, we got a couple of expensive stocks on our list. I normally wouldn't put them on our list, but both Square and Wayfair, both breaking all-time highs right now. All right, I got a comment on here from YouTube. I got two of us here on the trading room, Pat and Jose. So I'm going to jump to this right now. Skip the queue here. Inovio, INO. I mean, it's on the losers list. It's on the top of the losers list. I was going to get to this, but we're talking about this in our live trading room right now. We also had a comment on YouTube from it. So yeah, this INO trade after the drop off, at least finally we're getting the dead cat bounce here. So about time. INO, great call, guys. Definitely going to put this on our list. All right, so guys, if there's anything else that's up big that looks good, just let me know. I'm going to hop over to the losers list at this point. I'd normally say, and as is the case here today, bunch of crap hard to borrow, including INO, but a lot of these that are down big are also really cheap, and they're not really making that type of move that INO is here. So great call once more in the INO. That's definitely one we'll keep on our list. Let's check out a couple of these former runners from yesterday, guys. Pola, what made the top percent gainers list yesterday, made the top percent losers list here today, this morning. It seems really flat right now. We're not going to watch this. Man, OCX was down like 75% or so. Yesterday, I'm referring to, not today. So I'd figure OCX, I mean, if this could break above resistance, we could see this make a very sharp dead cat bounce as well, a sharp recovery. I had a limit order. Do I still have my limit order out there? I don't know if I closed it. Let me take a look. I had a stop limit order to buy this stock over 175. You can see, unfortunately, though, it's out there still. I'm gonna cancel it. This doesn't look like it's gonna be going anywhere. Yeah, the OCX trade, we had a potential setup if this could break above the 175 here, and that's where I placed my order. Unfortunately, it did not make that move. And it also is shortable, so that could be an opportunity, but it's just too slow right now, guys. So for right now, we're gonna pass. All right, SES, this thing's dropping off pretty nicely here. I mean, by all measures, very tradable, down big. Order book is a little light, a little thin. The spread isn't too scary. It is moving nicely on the way down. All right, so for right now, this SCS trade, we'll make the list. I will go back to Benzinga, though. I want to take a look at the news on this at least. We don't trade this one too much, so given the drop-off this morning and just the fact it's at the lows, we're going to put it on our list. I'm just interested in this one, seeing what the news is here. Steelcase shares trading lower after the company reported worse than expected quarter one. All right, fair. All right. So guys, let's see if there's anything else here on the losers list. Otherwise from there, let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right that you would want me to check in with, look at quickly before we finish up. A couple former runners here from the last 2 days. LCA, I think LCA was breaking all. Wow, that's pretty interesting. LCA is still shortable. LCA was breaking all-time highs yesterday, dropping right back down here today. Yeah, I like this definitely. A little bit more volatile than the SCS trade, but with the fact that this is trending down as well as it is shortable. Ended up being a good move at least so far, and hopefully we'll see it continue. All right, let's see. I think that just about does it, guys. At least as far as any other familiar names, any other stocks that are shortable, at least from the losers list. Got LCA from Leda. Great call, Leda. I didn't see your comment until right now. From Michael, Roku moving while you're talking about the expensive ones. Yeah, that's right. Roku's had a very strong day today, running basically from like 117 all the way up to the high of the day. This is close to all-time highs, I think. And obviously, it's on a really nice trend. So, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of expensive ones on our list here, guys. You know I normally wouldn't put these on our list. With the way these are all moving, though, how could we not? So, listen, if you don't trade the stocks that are 50, 60, 100 bucks, just don't let it be a distraction. Just don't focus on them. Don't put them in on your platform, right? So, of course, we'll focus on these generally. I'll be calling out Roku for any of our level 5 traders, level 4 to 5 traders here. But if you're a new student, I wouldn't recommend to trade a stock like Roku. If you're someone that's on a tighter budget, obviously you wouldn't be looking at Roku. So just don't let it be a distraction, guys. That's all. All right. So we might have a bigger watch list. Try and focus on the ones that have more liquidity on the book, ones that have more, more tighter spreads, a little bit cheaper, of course, here too. But for the ones that trade Roku, the Wayfarers, the Squares of the world, yeah, we'll definitely keep those on our list. Let's see. I think that just about does it, guys. Michael says, Tupperware, no news on TradeStation. President Trump to give interview on Fox Business at 3 p.m., so that can move the markets, perhaps. Not going to talk about the politics as much, but obviously we know politics can move the market. So that's it's a good heads up, Pat. We'll see where it takes us, at least going into the final hour of the day. All right, guys, I think that just about does it. I had one ping. This was from like 2 o'clock. It was on Watt, W-A-T-T. Nice pop at least earlier. Volume died off. So I wanted to check in on this one specifically, but I think that just about does it. Sun W. Wow, this thing ended up making a continued move up to even 105. With as much as this stock has dropped off over the last year and a half or so, ran up to basically like 12, 13 bucks and dumped all the way back down. It ended up making a big move up already, guys. I would not expect it to make a second big move going into the close, but out of all of these that we're going to add to our list, this will be the last one, the Sun W. If it doesn't run today, I am definitely interested in this trade for tomorrow. And again, if not tomorrow, then Monday of next week. All right, so in total, that makes it now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stocks total on the watch list. That's a pretty traditional Josh Levitan afternoon watch list here, guys. So like I'd said before, we have a few expensive ones. Try and block those out, scratch them off your watch list if you don't really tend to trade the expensive ones. A lot of them are breaking all-time highs, though. At least Square and Wayfair are, at least. So we're going to certainly focus on them, continuing to push up higher heading into the close. Aside from that, though, guys, I know that Fausto's prepping. He's in the classroom right now. So he's going to begin the Phase 3 stock class coming up at 3:05 Eastern Time time here in just about the next 10 minutes. We're going to post and tweet the link for all of us here in the trading room. And aside from that, for all of us on the social media stream here, Facebook, YouTube, if you guys would like to learn more about CTU, the online trading room, the online classroom that I'm referring to here, just make sure that you guys call the phone number down below. One of our education advisors will just pick up, provide more detail. All right, guys, as is the case here, typically in the trading room, let's try and close out this Wednesday afternoon just as well as we had opened it up. Take care.